Graham
This
Platner.
guy. This guy.
This guy is running for the Senate in Maine. We've talked about him before on the show. There's a new poll out that shows, and maybe we can put this on the screen, but it shows that Graeme Platner, who hasn't, we still got to get through the primaries, right? But if sometimes they do a polling that shows theoretical matchups between this person and that person, and they've got a matchup that shows Graeme Platner, who hasn't even gotten through the primary, would beat incumbent Senator Susan Collins if they ended up facing off against each other. So, not to completely restate Graeme Platner's CV, but he is a very liberal guy, once described himself as a communist. He's controversial. He's had some kind of a Nazi tattoo removed from his chest. He's called, said very bad things about police. But the thing about him, people say, I was talking to a guy from Maine yesterday, is that he is viewed as authentic. He is viewed as authentic. He is a oysterman in Maine.
Oh my gosh, Bill.
And right out of Central Casting, he's got the Ernest Hemingway sweater and the beard, and he's a big burly guy. He looks like he could, hold his own against Mark Wayne Mullen. Although I don't know, I'd probably put my money on Mullen. But what do you make of that poll? And is that a potential pickup for Democrats in that state?
Okay. Susan Collins, is she the luckiest American? I don't know. Susan Collins won. She was the only in 2020, the only Republican who won in a split ticket state with Donald Trump. Maine's politics are weird. We should remember. Maine has Maine technically has no Democratic senators because the other senator from Maine is nominally an independent, Angus King, the former governor. Maine is weird, right? Maine is basically West Virginia. Obviously. Maine is basically West Virginia with a fondant wrapping of Boston or what have you, right? It's Northeast liberal, and then Appalachia, basically, right? Interior Maine.
A lot of rural. You get west of the coast, and it's all, like you say, it's West Virginia, basically.
You can go to Mount Katahdin, and you can go a long, long way before you see what looks like liberal Northeast, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So Graeme Platner, it is significant that Senator Ruben Gallego from Arizona, who is not as lucky as Susan Collins, Ruben Gallego did a bold thing, and he said, I don't care about the Nazi tattoo he had removed. I don't care about things that he said before. He's got energy. He's got youth. He's a veteran. I'm a veteran. We're doing this. We're going to do it. And right after Gallego did it, it was revealed that Platner's account reposted, boosted a anti-Semitic cuckoo bananas crazy person. Now the campaign says we didn't know that that's what this was. We liked what they were saying about Israel and the Iran war or whatever else. I don't recall what the specific of it was, but we liked the message, but didn't like the messenger. So we have taken that down and we denounced the things that he said. And then right after that, it was revealed, it was found, surfaced, as the internet would say, that Graeme Platner had sat down for a gushy interview with another veteran, a former Green Beret, who is also anti-Semitic, right? Or who I have not consumed his catalog, but who Jewish groups say is a potent anti-Semite. And Platner closes the interview by saying, I'm such a huge fan or whatever. And I love I always watch your stuff. So Gallego endorses, and then Platner regenerates the Nazi stuff, he brings it back. There was a poll, and I hate to say this, University of New Hampshire, but your Pine Tree State poll and your polling generally needs work. DM me if you want some recs on who you might hire and what you might do. But this new poll, which is from a private firm, like a independent polling firm in Maine, I buy it, right? It shows Platner ahead of Mills, but not ahead of Mills by whatever that previous 20 points or whatever.
Janet Mills, the current governor. Democratic governor, who's running in the primary against Platner to face off against the Republican in the Senate general.
And it shows even a bad poll can be useful if it is bad in a consistent way.
Yeah.
What that poll shows us is Platner going from behind in the late fall or early winter. Now he's ahead. He's not ahead by a bunch, but he's ahead. And Janet Mills has to wrestle with this. I think she thought, and I'm sure the people at the Democratic Senatorial Committee and other people who got her into the race said, you have 100% name ID, you have high approval ratings, you have high favorability ratings, you can do this. She is going to have to fight Graeme Platner. She is going to have to fight Graeme Platner. And can she do it and still beat Susan Collins? That's hard, because fighting Graeme Platner, who is a radical, right? We've watched Democrats have to do this. Valerie Foushee in North Carolina survived a second primary challenger from a Platner-esque or squad-like candidate down in Durham and suburbs on Tuesday, but it was close. It's hard to fight these people because you dispirit your own base. This is, we talk about blue MAGA and all of that stuff, but populism is not an ideology. It is a methodology. And the use of the tactics of populism and populist insurrection and insurgency that the MAGA folks, I think MAGA used Donald Trump and then Donald Trump used MAGA. I think it pre-existed him and then he changed it. That same energy in the Democratic Party is hard to wrestle with. They have been better, and as the Texas results showed, more strategic about their voting, right? Democrats have been more strategic generally than Republicans have nationally, but is Janet Mills ready to fight a guy who has 10 million profile pieces about him, talking about his sweater and talking about his lobstermanness, talking about he's authentic, and talking about all of this stuff. Does dodgy old Janet Mills want to go punch him in the face and then go have that fight?
And she is significantly older than him, which is
she's like 77.
Yeah, that's a factor in today's politics and the Democratic.
And if she won't fight him, Susan Collins can win, even in what will be a very bad year for Republicans in Maine. She could still win, and she's a credible threat. Now, do Maine Democrat? My guess is, and I think this is what we'll see in the California Democratic primaries that haven't sorted themselves out yet, as you get closer to primary day and people lock in. So I think when you say to people long enough before the primary, I think Maine is in June. When you say to people long enough before the primary, who do you like? The old governor lady? Or how about, what if I told you about a sweater wearing, charismatic oysterman? Oh, I like that guy. I saw clips of him on MSNBC or whatever. And I think as they get closer, the question for Mainers will be, how much do you want this? And in Texas, Democrats said they wanted it enough to pick the more saleable candidate. I don't know whether that's true.